His name is Mr. Scope Creep.
Hey, okay, you know what? Fine, let's go into this, right? Let's go into this. Slap in the face, man. Total slap. Come on, this is a total slap in the face. Hello, friends. Welcome back for another episode of Two Kids and a Startup. My name is Wilson.
I'm Cass.
And this week I have a pickle to pick with you, Cassandra. I mean, the whole team has a pickle to pick with you.
It wasn't me.
So I'll give you guys a background. Usually what happens is that Cass has been complaining about me and me switching, pivoting too much. And that
Wait, let me talk about this.
Let me finish.
His name is Mr. Scope Creep. Because all he does is scope creep in every single project. Oh, let's have this idea. Let's change this idea. Let's do this. And everyone is just going like, doom, doom, doom.
You got to admit, my ideas are often quite, it's a value add.
Yes, it is a value add. But the thing is, when you are looking to build something, you need to get all the facts in the beginning. Because what happens, we've learned what happens when you are constantly scope creeping. The cost goes significantly higher because we're not budgeting for it.
Yeah, keep saying that. It kills the
team morale.
Exactly.
The exhaustion, the time spent, and your soul just getting drained.
Agreed.
And you do this. Ever since I started working with you, I have seen and witnessed this 30 times.
I agree.
At minimum.
I agree.
And I can only close my eyes and like bang my head on the table so many times and then still have to go home and love you. Ugh. Gross.
I agree with this. At the same time, this is all value add. And it is like, to my defense, okay?
It's okay. Like, value add is subjective.
You know what? Then good for you for changing.
Okay, fine. Okay, there are some times that, come on. Yes, you're right.
Like, okay, you know what? Fine, important. Let's go into this, right? Let's go into this. When we're building in the blockchain space, do we not have to pivot 10 million times? Every time that we build any development, it takes months for us to develop.
But
and then the market, can I finish?
Fine.
And then the marketing completely changes. And therefore we need to
understand the abuse I have to go through.
Really?
Well, yes. Okay, continue. Market changes.
I have nothing to say. Why don't you share about why you get to change the direction?
Because you were contagious.
Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead. What are we changing? And why are we changing this entire direction? 2 weeks before we go to Lisbon for 10 days, having 3 activations and pitching to VCs. Why are we doing that right now?
Okay, personally, for me, and I don't know about you, when the product that we were raising for, the platform that we were raising for, and I said this from day one, was I don't know that I am passionate about the product, right? Like the audience was for a professional demographic, the product was great, and it never really synced with me. And as I was building it and learning more about the metaverse and Roblox, things just clicked, and we've done this. And you know what was really interesting in this experience is that we had to look up, and what I've learned is that we looked up and stepped out a little bit to see all the little links that we have learned throughout the last X period to come to this. And it feels like this we finally got here moment. But yes, I am accountable for changing the idea of bringing this idea to the table and pivoting.
Well, I it's not like I don't agree with you. I agree with you, and nor do I like put you in a situation where you don't feel good. Just saying that, like about changing, I'm super supportive of that, and I think it is to the right direction because, like you said, loyalty event for events, traditional conferences, it's already quite saturated, and it is not a sexy type of industry that you want to be in. I agree with you. And at the same time, the only reason why we are choosing to be in the event industry is because we have a wedge. We have an opportunity because I've been in the industry for the last 10 years. And so there's a lot of connections and a lot of network that we can tie and pull on, which would give us the initial boost of traction that we would need. And majority of the time when investors are choosing to fund, they would need to choose a team that has an unfair advantage. And this was our unfair advantage.
I get it.
And so that's the reason why, as much as we don't truly want to build in this vertical, we were like, okay, fine, we have to, because all the pieces are pushing us towards this direction. Nonetheless, not something that we're truly passionate in. And I think the lesson that we need to be able to draw out from this is that, first of all, things take time. And second of all, being able to build something towards your passion is actually quite critical.
Totally.
Right?
I feel my energy, and you feel this too, right?
Yeah. So
I feel like our excitement and energy in building this is 100 times fold.
yeah, I agree with you. And I think that the issue that I face is that it's kind of dumb when we tell people to, like, hey, work on something that you're passionate in and do something that you're passionate in, because it's just oftentimes it's very difficult to find out what that is.
Of course.
And so I think what works is,
and we wouldn't have known this either.
That's precisely my point. My point, and how I have always approached working and coming up with ideas is just, we just got to keep moving. We got to create our own luck. We got to stir that pot. And as long as we're moving, it's what propelled us to go ahead and create the deck. It's what propelled us to actually go and dive deep into the metaverse and to see what opportunities there are to link things up and do what we are doing. And as you mentioned, all these points and initiatives that we have done in the last 2 years are all connecting now to this beautiful direction that we're heading into.
I don't know about you, but I personally feel like when I look back at this whole journey, this light bulb moment of, oh, this is it. Like everything lines up. It adds up to this point. This was this direction. And it doesn't forego the experience that we've had, but only builds into it, and we're the team to do it.
Agreed. And just to reiterate, like the director, like what is this new thing? Like in case we didn't say it, we are building a loyalty rewards platform for the metaverse, specifically Roblox, Fortnite, any of the metaverses that are out there. And there are more than 1 billion users on the metaverse, such as all these games. All these gamers are trying to build within, and not build, are playing these games, and the rewards are stuck within these games. And then there are the brands that are trying to market to these people that are playing games and not watching TV, and yet they cannot crack the code. So we see these two types of forces just in the brink of wanting to connect with each other. These gamers want to be able to get real life rewards, and get more rewards for playing these games, and these brands are trying to market to these guys. So we're basically in the middle of this all, giving rewards and loyalty to match the two.
And we're at the cusp of this, or even the beginning of this boom, because like you said, 1 billion users of the demographic largely under 13 and growing into 17 to 20, it's huge.
Yeah, but it's not fun that we're 2 weeks away from Lisbon, and we have been working our entire platform to support something completely different. Our presentations are all having to redo. Our pitch deck needs to be redone.
We're starting from scratch.
We're literally starting from scratch, from the booth activation, the closing event. And yeah, so this was happening, 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, that Cass had this like, hey, what if we done this? And then within the half an hour, we decided that it was the right call.
I think me and Wilson, we were like, what are we going to do? Should we do it? The only hesitation was, shit, it sucks. Like the team, everyone was already building into what we had originally planned. Designs were done, booth designs were done. They were submitted to the events for them to print. And I get it. Yeah, it sucks.
It sucks, but hey, you know what? I get it, because at the end of the day, it's a value add, and I find it's very silly for us to not change, especially when we're such a young and nimble team. We should be able to do this, and as much as it hits the morale, it's costly and whatnot. But I think that prior to finding any product market fit, our best advantage is our ability to change fast and adapt fast, and to try different things out as much as possible, at the cost of us burning out and whatnot. And I think that it's a net positive, but that's just me. That's the reason why within 30 minutes, I'm like, let's do it.
Luckily, we have a good team, and they were all, oh yeah, this makes sense. And it was good. I do think this is it, and I am 500 times more confident in this model.
And it also aligns with our agency as well, right? So I think like the startup and the agency has much more of an alignment. We're building towards the same goal and the same vision, rather than building out a loyalty platform for events versus building in the metaverse as well. So I think it's like, this is really good alignment. So,
and every traction that we've had previously done added to what we've been doing, whether that is from the Web3, the arcade that we launched, the MVP of the Fun Pass that we launched.
I think the biggest lesson that people can take away from this is that don't be afraid to scrap the work that you've done, or don't be afraid to redo the stuff that you have done. The best thing that, and every single time, your initial idea is never the one that works out. Never. It's because as you gather more and more facts and more data, you start to connect the dots, and you start to have a bigger picture and see a much more rounded picture. And then it is then up to you to pivot, and it's actually much smarter for you to be able to do that. It's actually a fool for you to collect all these data, yet you have this confirmation bias that you're like, oh, I already invested so much, therefore I need to see it through. I think that's not the right way at all, right? So yeah, whatever you guys are doing,
change it.
Or, you know, all these gurus, find your passion so you don't have to work another day.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's hard.
It is very hard.
You can't fund your passion if just going by a passion. You need to be a blend of realistic. And
Exactly.
you know what we've done so far has helped us, you know, survive even up until, you know, we really landed on, and this feels right. I'm really excited.
Yeah, same here. I think the team's excited as well. So now we're a week away from flying to Lisbon and the activation. We're doing entire activation for them. We're also pretty much one of the highlights of the closing party, which is housing 2,000 to 3,000 people. So we have a whole 1,000 feet closing party activation that we're doing, and that means we're actually shipping our games over there. And the first time ever, our games are going overseas.
They're going global.
They're going global.
They're going international.
Oh my goodness, man. That's
You're expanding your global footprint in the Asian carny business.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I should be proud of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, you are now a global business.
I am now a global business. I am now a global business. I have been a global business. We have been operating globally.
Not that part of your business.
Not that part.
Not the carnival games.
Yeah, true.
Like now it's like, oh, you're portable.
We're so not portable. Oh man, so much headaches. So much headaches. Like
it is a lot of headaches.
Man, I have a big rant. I guess it's because like things are piling up, all hands on deck. So today is all about the rants. Right now, my focus should be on the whole fundraising. Exactly. right? We are flying and putting all these resources, tens of thousands of dollars, into flying to Lisbon because of this major conference called Websummit that is following NearCon, that has around 70,000 tech people, investors that are going to be there. And my goal of even doing any activation is to be able to meet with these investors who wants to be able to invest in the next up and coming project. And so we have all this planned out, strategized. This is a month beforehand. And so now I should be practicing my pitch. I should be reaching out to these VCs. I should be setting up meetings with them. And we're going to have this whole plan of attracting their attention and having this warm touch list and having them on our podcast, creating content, all this cool stuff that we should be doing. And yet a week out, we're still not in touch with any.
Where did things go wrong?
Well,
or maybe the question is, what did we learn from this opportunity?
I think that's a better question because, well, let's just share a little bit more about what instead of focusing on that, my focus right now is on logistics. My focus right now is on logistics of planning for the shipping of our games or merch or all our stuff. And right now, our shipping costs went from $1,500 to $4,300. And it is still not being shipped out because UPS needs more info from us. Like, I don't get this.
Could we not ship it out in two pack, like just ship it out first so we know the big meat?
We can't because they need like a EORI number and this and that. And I'm like, not to throw anyone under the bus, but Tony, man, like you just asked, like, what can we do? What could we have done better? The number one critical point that we know was shipping of our items, because without our items, we cannot host our event. We cannot host our closing event, party, whatever the case may be. And which is the number one thing I told the team to be aware of, to figure out. This is like way in advance. You were here for the majority of those meetings. And yet the day that it was supposed to be picked up, UPS asked for more information that we don't have. And unfortunately, we cannot ship with UPS, which is why we need to go with another vendor, priority ship it on a plane, and onto Lisbon it goes. Which is so frustrating, right? And it's just like basically took 3 days of my brain juice trying to figure out like what's the next best alternative. Same thing with printing. Printing is a big issue because we need to figure out a local print supplier, and they're not responding with the quotes. And because we need to plaster the whole entire place with our branding, we don't know what to do. We don't have a price. Printing can go upwards of tens of thousands of dollars, and now we're still trying to figure it out when we already know of this print shop 2 weeks beforehand. And then yesterday we just held a meeting with one of their production manager, and they put us up in the hierarchy. And so there's a solution to all the problems. But the biggest thing that we have learned here, actually, enough of my rant. Here you go, Cass. Please take it away.
I thought you were gonna.
The biggest lesson here, I think, like I always share with the team, is that I'm like, hey, you know what? After all, you guys just need to have this can-do attitude and this urgency. Just because people tell you one thing and they tell you no, they tell you a deadline is, let's say, on the 1st. No, push for the deadline that, hey, my items need to arrive on the 3rd or the 4th, or whatever the case may be. Get on the call with them. I don't understand. People don't like calling people nowadays.
You know what? As you know, my friend Chris Jenner says, if you're getting a no, you're not talking to the right person.
Ooh. I like that.
It's about resourcefulness. And also there's about resourcefulness, but then also, which I think is such an important trait that you need to have. And that'll drive you in anywhere. It's just being able to be resourceful and finding out the way or finding the information. But also, I would say, like, knowing that it was crunch time, it was just so important to have that project plan and making sure that we spend 80% of our time building out that plan so that we could get all the facts. How long is the shipping? When do we need to have the prints done by? When do they need to be submitted by? When's their designs, and working backwards so that we would have just execute. But you know what? I think we're still not too bad of a situation right now.
It's not.
We're still going.
It's not bad. I think part of, and I was telling my team, I'm like, you know what? As intense as I am right now, the only reason is because if we are to be intense now, we can still make a great event and we can still make it work. But if we do not turn the dial up in terms of intensity, in terms of like kicking down doors, we are going to be facing a lot of a bigger trouble later on, right? And so yeah, you're right, we're on track ish. Hopefully next week we can really focus on the pitch and reaching the VCs and whatnot, and to really have a kick bomb event.
Yeah, I'll be with the kids, so you have fun there.
Oh man, and then there's so many different other things. We need to find a videographer, accommodation, travel, delivery stuff, and we're building a lot of our structure there. We're actually building out 3 games there too.
Yeah, it looked big.
Yeah.
Bigger than we initially thought it was.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? It's going to be such a great, and then everything, see what I mean by synchronicities? Everything is lining up together, because when I looked at the people at the Web Summit, so many gaming, like ching, everything just lines up for the fundraising. Like, it's great. If we can get everything lined up, the deck just needs to be done, data room needs to be done, projections need to be done, the event needs to be hosted. We're solid. But anywho, let's talk about happier things. Halloween.
But hey, you know what? I'm really, really excited because after the event, it's like straight into holiday mood. Like we're done.
Oh yeah.
We're done.
Mexico.
And then it's December. I'm like, yo, we'll take the whole December off. You know?
Oh.
Yeah,
really?
well, as in like, well, no, wait, let's backpedal a little bit. I meant take it off as in like, there's not much more sprint. It's a lot more foundational work.
It depends on your event. The event could lead to.
Well, okay, and also I also want to share a little bit more. It's like the event would lead to networks and connection relationships with VCs and whatnot. However, the VCs would start going to holidays in December.
Yeah, you're right.
Like no one wants to work in December.
I know. Remember when we had originally talked about this whole event? We were like, let's get it by October or November, so that we could. Actually, no, it was to aim for November. But you know what? Like, it's better. I'm really optimistic, and I think I would like to even, I don't know, reset how we're approaching this fundraising.
You know what?
Spend the time. One
thing that I learned working with you is to be patient. It's like I don't know if it's a intentional learning or it's just like, man, I wish we could go faster, because my way of doing it is just like, you
just go.
My mentor taught me this, Kim K. She told me, just kick doors down. You're gonna get there. And look where she's at.
But I'm sure she had a team who's probably doing it the right way.
Well, anyways, yeah, something that I learned from you is to be patient, and I think that we would be
planning first.
Sure.
Well, I'm not just sitting there and being patient.
Agreed. Like laying the foundations is what I mean, right? Like laying the good foundations and setting us up for success. And I guess like my personality is more like go and just attack, but not really strategize properly, and laying the right foundations would set us much further ahead of the game than if not. And so that's why I actually
you're open to it.
I'm not as pushy about fundraising.
Yeah.
Right? In the last month or ish two,
yeah,
I'm not like, oh, when are we? What are we doing? What are we like? Can we go? Because like I have a bunch of people I'm reaching out. I can reach out to. I'm like, no, like, let's build, right? And have that patience, right? And build out the foundation. And so for the people that are out there who's more like rash and who's like a can-do go-getter and just like, you just can't wait to
A lot of startup founders.
A lot of startup founders just go because they feel like that they have a super power to.
They're also excited.
They're excited.
They're excited about it
because they can conquer the world.
Yeah,
they
have a cool idea and ready to go.
It's a double-edged sword that it's a blessing and a curse at the same time because of this can-do attitude, which I feel is more of the minority of the demographic, that like people like the action doers, right? But at the same time, because you're an action doer, you're always missing out on the details of things and the foundational things, in which now that's why having you allows us to be able to build on a much solid ground. So stoked for that. So that means go find yourself a Cass, someone that actually focuses on another part, the defense, the foundational stuff.
That's nice. Thanks. Well,
I was gonna say find yourself a wife, but I'm like, nah.
I think that's the best part, is that we are able to balance each other's we both have strengths that balance each other out.
Totally.
It's hard to would have worked together if we were like the same people, and that this has worked to our advantage.
Yeah, agreed.
Halloween, what are we dressing up as?
I'm dressing up as Dad.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be Cocomelon.
Yay.
Lots of Halloween things ish. We've gone to 3 different pumpkin patches just because 3-4 pumpkin patches.
Yeah, because one day we were the only person on the pumpkin patch. We arrived at 9:15 a.m. ready to go on a Monday.
Took time off work.
Yep, and we canceled the meetings, and I'm like, you know what? Got to be a dad. Let's got to put in the work, invest in relationships with my son, and we end up showing up with a beautiful patch of nothingness.
And then I realized, I'm like, we should check the date. And I looked and it was Thursday and not Monday. So then we drove another 30-minute drive back to work. But actually, speaking of our son, we had a really good conversation with the school. And it was a little bit of a aha moment.
It's a slap in the face, man. Slap. Come on, it is a total slap in the face where like I completely own up to it. I mean, you as well, I assume. Like it's such a crazy journey being a parent. And just when you thought you have everything handled, that you got it right. Like you tell your friends, you're like, oh, like this is how you do it, this is how you treat your son, blah blah blah. And then that's when you get slapped in the face and like you're not doing as good of a job as you think.
So we had our parent-teacher conference for Westy, and I struggle as a parent of 2. Inside, I always felt like, okay, Weston is still a baby. The attention needs to be with Jordan right now because she's demanding it, and it's the balance of the 2. When Weston starts talking and starts moving more, then the attention will then have to shift a bit. And we were wrong and we were busy. So we went into this parent-teacher conference and the teachers were like, hey, Weston is so lovable. He's so great here. He never throws any tantrum. He's the most independent baby, never cries. He's so helpful. And it was supposed to make us feel, oh my God, that is so great. That's exactly. But for us, I think me and you are like, our hearts sunk because in our minds and what we experienced was tantrums a lot and being upset and lots of tears. And so we shared that. And what was a huge realization in that moment was that we haven't given him the time and energy and focus and presence that we should have as him, and we've just been caught up with everything else.
I think a big part of that, and by the way, like he was more like a demon child.
He wasn't a demon child.
Not demon child. No, like to a point where to a point where I decided, like for my birthday dinner, I didn't want to bring him because I didn't want him to create a scene And that was to that extent, and like just being completely honest. And it was not like a demon child, but we cannot even bring him out to a proper lunch without him throwing a fit, making a scene for 30-40 minutes, and nothing goes with him. And it was frustrating to that point. And we're like, or for me in particular, that I'm like, oh, I just don't know what to do with it. Like I cannot connect with him. I talk to him, nothing goes.
And we just kind of we just looked at, not looked, but felt that this was his personality.
Yeah.
And that really makes me sad, because it just showed that we didn't have the time or the patience to deal with him like the way that we did with Jordan. And it was like major mom guilt. And we were so grateful for having that wake up call, because the moment he came home, we were all love. And within that moment,
That was the moment.
his personality changed completely. He barely throws any tantrum. We've given him the attention, we've given him the love, and I feel it. My heart just expanded that much bigger. And when we went to school Monday, I went to the teachers and I'm just like, hey, thank you for sharing that. We needed to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't negative. They weren't even intentionally telling us, but what we heard from that was that we didn't have enough time or the patience, and it changed everything. But even Weston changed. And what was even more miraculous, like you mentioned, was that the teacher said, hey, Weston in the last 2 days has been so happy. I don't know what happened. Isn't that wild?
The crazy thing, I think what made us have this realization is because the tips that they were providing, such as redirect, don't just say no, redirect the no's to something else, right? Teach them how to, the fork, if you're not eating, then, or if you're throwing it, then, and tell them, hey, you know what, this is not for throwing, this is for eating. Airplanes are for throwing. And like, these are things that we know, and that's how we treated Jordan.
We did that so much. And
so
we
much
forgot
with
how,
Jordan.
I think we forgot what a conscious effort
Exactly. Yeah.
it was to say those things, to take the time to be patient and not just say, don't do this. And it makes me sad that,
totally,
so
sad.
We didn't, not the time, it's
not the
now
time.
2 years. It's just like sad that we couldn't have recognized that a little bit more.
The thing is, it's because I don't think it's because we don't spend the time with him, but rather it's because Jordan always chimes in and steals the attention. And for me in particular, when Jordan speaks out loud, I'm like, my attention goes to Jordan, right? And of course, you neglect the other one, and it's so sad when that happens. But the very good thing is that we are learning as well as parents, right? And that now I get to see why there are father and son relationships that are so far apart, and that they're both seeking the same thing. Right? Like, the dad is wanting to love the son, but feels no the connection, right? I'm just projecting into the future, right? If this were to happen, and the son is always looking for validation and approval from the dad, feeling that the dad doesn't like him, and the communication is just not there.
It's like the footprint and the groundwork that lays that possibility as an outcome.
Oh, so
and
scary.
Just to think about that is so sad, because that's never what we wanted ever. And we just thought, okay, it's his toddler phase, it's his baby, oh, we're getting into the twos, and it really is just awareness and going down to his level.
Oh man, it's so scary. Wow. Like, when you say about like the footprint that you're laying, I'm like, wow, it's so true. It's like, you see so many times, like, our friends are like complaining about this and that, and it's like, no wonder, right? It's like, damn, that sucks. But hey, on the positive note, like, we figured it out.
Things has 180 flipped.
Yeah.
We love Weston to death, which, not that we never did, is just a different presence.
Totally. And the fact that me and him connected, so our relationship turned 180. You can see it too. And then, like, now he's calling Dada, like, he knows, right? And it's like, Man,
I'm so happy.
me too. Well,
On to the next.
on to next, guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow. Let us know how you guys feel about these episodes. I mean, like, we've launched a few, and yeah, there's a lot of improvements that we have on our list to do. So would love to see how you guys think about these episodes. Let us know.